Welcome back, agents. Secret Agent Stash here. We are at GIA headquarters, and we have gotten some massive intel today. One of our high-value targets, Jason Bitbender Brink, president of blockchain at Gala Games, has been caught in the area. One of our operatives has brought him in, and we're tossing him into the box for an interrogation. Bitbender, welcome to the box.
Hey man, happy to be here today.
Thank you so much for joining us. Even if maybe it wasn't of your own doing, I appreciate your willingness to jump in here and let us interrogate you all about...
It's weird. I was just wandering through this beautiful forest behind me, and all of a sudden there was fucking light.
Snap.
And yeah, exactly. Here I am.
Bink, and we got the light on you, and so we're gonna get all the answers. Whatever answers you guys had, or whatever questions that you guys had about this upgrade for their token, they're getting answered today in depth. So we're going to jump right into this. Bitbender, please, my friend.
Hit me, man.
Tell us about this token upgrade, just top level real quick, and then I want to dive in. For those that don't know what's going on, and then I want to dive in on what this really means and ask some questions about this. So give us a 30-second quick breakdown of what this is all about, this upgrade.
Sure. So basically, long story short, what we're doing right now is we're migrating from Gala V1, which does certain things and doesn't do certain other things, to Gala V2, a new contract on Ethereum that will do all of the stuff that we need it to do and has future-proofing pieces built in. So there's essentially three main points that we have to cover. First is burns, okay? The Gala V1 token does not correctly decrement burns, which means that if people are burning back and forth, since all of our bridges on Geary are burning bridges, which means they're not collateralized, you don't have a big, stash of tokens that somebody could just vacuum up if something goes wrong. We don't want that. So it's a burning bridge so that when stuff is burnt, it correctly decrements from total supply and makes it so that you don't reach the max supply and the whole contract breaks. The second thing is there's increased security. So everything is locked up with multi-sig and stuff like that. So there is no, much less risk of a contract breach or, someone, breaking into somebody's house and cutting off toes to, make contract things happen. Which is a thing, unfortunately, that does happen in the space from time to time.
High dollar, man.
And the third thing is it is upgradable in the future. And so if there are future things that have to happen, then we can go ahead and fix things. There's a couple other functionalities in there. The contract is pausable, which is part of the security thing. It's locked behind multi-sig, but if there's some terrible, vulnerability that is discovered, then, it can be paused, patched, and reinitiated, stuff like that.
That's important.
Yeah, it's very important.
Yeah, that's very important. I mean, all of those things I think are important. We've seen people complain about the burn, mechanism and tracking, right, of Gala. And that will be a big boon, so we can actually see here's the big picture. Here's what it actually looks like. Here's what's happening. We're getting it all in there, and it can be tracked across exchanges. Obviously the upgradability of the contract is something you hadn't had, and that is huge. We really need to have that, right? When you look at any other major platform, you're not going to just stay in one spot the whole time. You got to keep upgrading. You got to keep moving forward, and it's hard to do that if you have it all built in on the contract level.
Yeah.
So I totally get that.
And so please forgive the toddler sounds in the background.
That's okay, man. We're having fun.
My daughter is spending time in the big girl bed these days and not a crib, which means that she can get out whenever she wants.
I hope she enjoys the box. I hope she enjoys the box here. Now something interesting too when it comes to this, just kind of looking at bigger picture here, right? We're upgrading some things that are important here for the future. Are many of these upgrades and this process here, is this to get ready for the full rollout of the blockchain not to be named yet?
Yes, absolutely.
What's the damn name of the blockchain?
I can't tell you. I wish I could tell you. I can't. It's a great attempt, but can't.
I'm getting out the torture tool. I'm going to get him. I'm getting the torture tool. Guys.
Get the pliers. Get the pliers. I want the hot poker too.
I'm pulling teeth out and nails next time if you don't give me the information. All right, fine. Right. Moving on, but I mean, this is stuff that needs to be done before we can do a full-blown rollout of Geary, right? The blockchain named Geary so far.
Yes, that is correct.
Because we couldn't really do that, I think, without these upgrades, is what I'm thinking.
Correct. Well, the problem is that until you have that burn mechanism in place so that it actually does what it's supposed to do, everything else it has to be bootstrapped.
Right.
If you get into a situation where the burn mechanism isn't in place and people start bridging tokens back and forth, those numbers will get increasingly out of whack, and you reach a point in time where an upgrade becomes an emergency. And the last thing that we want is to do this, which it is a pain in the ass. It's not a pleasant experience, but the last thing that we want is to have this be an emergency upgrade.
No, we don't want that.
Which it is not right now. This has been planned for months and months and months. It's been worked on for months and months and months. We've been in communication with exchanges for months and months and months. And so now things are going exactly pretty much as they're supposed to. And that is thanks to all of the amazing work with the teams that goes on behind the scenes.
That's awesome. No, I mean, and this is not an easy thing to do for those out there that maybe don't understand Solidity or smart contracts. Not an easy thing to do. It really is not. So I applaud you guys for taking this on, because this is something that has caused a lot of turmoil. It's caused a lot of backlash. It's caused people to ask questions. Question number one, I want to start here. Is this an airdrop?
It is not an airdrop. We consider this a complete and total deprecation of the version 1 of the token, and this is the new version of the token. It is no different than if you were to, when you get a new credit card from your bank. Okay, there's an old credit card, the new one comes in the mail, the old one doesn't work anymore, the new one is now the one that you use. It doesn't stop the old one from existing, but you can't use it for anything.
Right. So it's a great explanation, very simple and straightforward. In my mind, it is an airdrop. And now let me tell you how I differentiate.
I understand why people think that.
Right, and here's how I differentiate this, right? So we've seen this happen, not this happen with Gala, but I mean, we've seen the other projects having to do something similar like this. And there's a couple ways you can go about this, right? You can do a swap, where they actually have to take these tokens and swap them in through an interface and say, here's my 10,000 Gala V1. I'm sending it to this contract. It's going to send me Gala V2 back. That has been a popular way of doing it. That wouldn't be considered an airdrop. That's called a swap, right?
Right.
What you guys are doing is something I have not seen any company, I don't believe, do on this level, where you are essentially airdropping the tokens because they're being dropped in without you having to do anything into a wallet that is a Gala wallet, with tokens in it existing. But then you're right. Basically, what you're doing is you're negating those tokens on the back end, right? So it's weird because technically, in the technical sense, it is an airdrop, but it doesn't operate like an airdrop. A lot of people think, oh, it's an airdrop, you're just getting these tokens. And then you also have Gala V1. The V1 is just going to stop working. But that does rely on these exchanges and other places to honor that. And so there is a possibility where I know that there's going to be people out there that are going to try and scam people around the time of this drop with the V1 and try and get as much as they can out of this. So why did you guys Why did you guys decide to go that direction versus doing a swap on a contract swap where you can go in and do it yourself?
Couple reasons. One, so I'm sure that by this point in time that Coinbase is not supporting V2 at this time.
Yes.
Okay. Have you seen the amount of uproar and yelling on Twitter that people have made because they had to pay a transaction fee to send their tokens from Coinbase to a wallet that they control themselves?
Yeah. They should have done that anyways. That's nothing to complain about. They're stupid.
No, it
they
isn't.
Have already
it
done
isn't.
This, so
100% correct. It shouldn't be something to complain about. But that said, people still complain about it.
True.
Can you imagine if the cost of this was being pushed off to every single of the 250,000 people that have Gala, and right now in the middle of Pepe silly gas land, people are
Pepe
having to
screwed
go,
you guys, man. Pepe screwed you guys hard with
I
that
am
gas.
super well aware of that. I am super
not
well
just
aware
you guys,
of that.
everybody, but really.
But yeah, no, it's when we planned this and we costed it, we were not counting on Pepe.
Buckle up,
anyway,
baby. Woo!
All of that said, one of the reasons that we didn't want to do this, is because for us, there's several reasons. The first and most important thing is that what we have is an ecosystem. an ecosystem depends on people. It depends on users, and Gala is what powers that ecosystem. Okay. If we were to make this a manual swap process that everybody had to go through, okay, all that it would do, okay, is remove a majority of the people that are currently holding Gala, either because they're not holding enough to go through a swap. You know, they may have 100 Gala, 1,000 Gala, something like that, which, you know, if you've got 100 Gala, you're not going to pay, you know, $20 to operate a swap contract.
Sure,
you're just not, right?
No, yeah, I won't.
People will get left behind because they don't pay attention. And so the swap window, no matter how large you make that swap window, there are going to be people who miss it and think, you know, 2.8 seconds after that swap window closes, gee, I wonder what happened to Gala. I should go check that out. And then show up and get angry that, you know, a 6-month swap window or whatever closed and they missed it. And it becomes this whole big thing. And so we didn't want to leave people behind, because the moment that you leave somebody behind, they're no longer part of the ecosystem. They're no longer part of that family with you. And that's not what we wanted. The second thing is this isn't the first time we've done this. It's the first time most people know about. I tweeted about it the other day. Originally, Gala, for reasons which occurred prior to me arriving, was an ERC 1155 token, which doesn't make a lot of sense. And so we very quickly switched from an ERC 1155 to an ERC 20. And that necessitated us going through this process before. Okay. It's just that there was no exchanges that we had to deal with. It was just, okay, everyone who has the ERC 1155 now has the ERC 20. And that ERC 1155 has been completely deprecated. It exists. It's still on chain. All of those people still have that. But you know, we've done this once before, and that seemed to be the best way to do it then, and it seems to be the best way to do it now, and so that's why we're doing this.
You make a lot of valid points there. I think, you know, the not being able to leave people behind and not having to pass the fees on is amazing, and it is great. And I think that does actually make sense to do it this way. You know, obviously, no matter what way you do it, there is an attack vector, and there are people who are going to not know about it. And, like, you know, there's going to be some dude, same thing, some dude on Coinbase who's doesn't follow Gala, isn't in Discord, he's not following Twitter. He bought a bag, you know, last run up, and it's just been sitting there. He doesn't know any of this stuff happens, and then it's on Coinbase, and then we go, what do we do with those guys? What happens to those guys? They just
the reality is, and I had this conversation with a prominent exchange. They're like, okay, well, what's going to happen with the people who, you know, do exactly that? The reality is that those people exist no matter what, and it doesn't even require us to do anything. You know, if you look at Twitter, okay, just go type a tweet and mention the word MetaMask. Okay.
Well, I know how that
mention
goes.
the word MetaMask, you're going to get literally 24 bots saying permutations of the same shit.
No, I know. It's all the bots.
Okay. And the reality is that if people think that there's a way that they can screw people out of money, they're going to do it, which means that, you know, and we see this all the time where, you know, we'll have a game, we'll announce that a game exists, right? And within half an hour of us announcing that a game exists, someone will go stand up a smart contract, okay, of just a copy and paste smart contract of some new token, name it after the game, and put it on Uniswap. And then people will be like, oh, gotta go get the new whatever. And, you know, it's bullshit. It's not a thing that we've done, which is why we always, you know, publicly post all of our contract addresses and things. But even then, that doesn't stop people. And I've had quite a good number of people who have reached out to me during this entire process saying, you know, I got contacted by this Twitter account and they told me to send my Gala V1 here, and I did, and they didn't send me the V2 yet. And you're like, okay, the account
it's like a face like, oh
yeah, I mean, the account that this person was contacted by was Goo Gala like Games.
Goo Gala Games. Goo Gala Games. That's the new
and
one.
it's like, and you know, and then it says like, you know, Gala Games support or something like that. It's like,
Yeah.
okay, if you thought about that critically for 0.2 of a second before being like, yes, let me send you all my money, you wouldn't have done that. And it breaks my heart that that sort of stuff happens. But the reality is there's nothing we can do to stop it, and it's going to happen anyway.
Yeah, no, you're right. I mean, the scams are going to happen anyway. No matter what you do and which way you go about it, there's going to be some windfall from this. Thinking about it, I wonder if there's a way to offer a split of both, right? So where we do this airdrop, not an airdrop, but airdrop, but then also offer an option for someone to manually transfer those tokens if they needed to, but it'd be hard to be able to understand if those they had already got the airdrop to a Coinbase wallet or didn't get it.
We thought about this.
Yeah,
we thought about this, and there was a hybrid approach that we were originally looking at that was based on that. But in the end, it was going to be like 3 months of additional engineering to do that.
Yeah.
And we decided not to do it because the benefit of it was not, I mean, it became very complex and a lot of, just wouldn't be ideal. Put it that way.
No, I understand. There are a lot of issues with that and caveats that you'd have to make, to be able to try.
So many edge cases. That was the thing that it's like, okay, so if we're doing this manual swap and we're only doing it for things that are already locked in smart contracts, for example, right? It's like, okay, Uniswap. Okay, there's people who provide liquidity to Uniswap, and if they have their tokens in Uniswap, when this happens, they're SOL.
Yeah.
Okay, and so it's like, okay, well, how many months of engineering time makes sense for us to spend to target people who aren't paying attention to announcements, or are trying to be greedy by keeping it in there until the very last second so that they can get the additional whatever. Like, how many months is that actually worth when it slows down the development and growth of the entire ecosystem, right? You don't want to do everything. That either.
Once again, we've established this is a bottleneck. We need to get this done before we can really push with everything that we're pushing here in Gala, with the new blockchain, with all the new structures, with everything that we've seen, coming here. So it makes total sense. Now let's switch modes just a little bit here because we get, I get tons of questions. I've already put out 3 or 4 videos about this upgrade, detailing things and talking about it. And inevitably, the questions I keep getting are, but Stache, what about this crappy exchange that I have my Gala on? Are they going to support it? Do I need to take it off? And everyone wants to know about their specific shit kicker exchange. Will they support it? You guys have put out an official list. It's on your Medium. Binance just announced this morning that they are also going to support it. I don't know. I want to assume that's also Binance US, but I know they operate a little bit differently. They may have to put it their own. But we know Binance, the main website, will be supporting this. What about everybody else? Everybody else out there who keeps asking about these crappy little exchanges they have Gala on? What do we tell them? Because what I tell them is, put it in your own wallet, man. Put it in your own,
definitely
in your own personal wallet. Don't keep it on exchange. So, you shouldn't be doing that anyways. So
So we have a list of about 180 exchanges, something like that we have contacted. And basically, if it's listed on CoinMarketCap or CoinGecko and it shows Gala as a trading pair, we've reached out. Okay. Yeah. Now, what scares me is that some of these, especially the really little exchanges, are so tiny and almost like fly by night that they don't have any sort of engineering capacity or anyone providing support or anything. It's just kind of like, we've tried to reach out. We've submitted tickets to every single one. We've sent emails to every single one. And lots of them have contacted us back, confirmed their support. We can't say anything about it until they post a public announcement.
Sure.
But we have a list of many that have announced their support, when we're just trying to, get them to actually say something, and then we'll post it.
And that makes sense. But so with that list, you said you've reached out to about 180. Could we get a list of all the exchanges that just never got back to you or never said anything? Because I understand not being able to say if an exchange can do it because they won't announce, but the ones that said they're not or just never got back to you, could we just get a list that says, no response?
Let me see what we can do about that. We've only had one exchange say no. and that's
Yeah.
Coinbase.
But I think just seeing a
Everybody
no
else,
response, or like we reached out, we got no response. People know, like, oh yeah, here's my, that's my
that's a good
crappy little
idea.
exchange.
That's a good idea. Let me let's see.
Yeah, so
I'm asking our general counsel right now.
That's awesome. Yeah, I mean, just little things like that. I think the more information people can be provided here, because obviously, like I said, people are going to keep asking these questions no matter how many places you post it. But the fact of the matter is, guys, is that if you have Gala on anywhere that's not your personal wallet, right? A wallet you control, that means a wallet that's not on an exchange.
Yeah.
Like a MetaMask or there's lots of great wallets out there. Trust Wallet, there's tons of them, right? But your own personal wallet, that's where it should be anyways. And so if it's in a personal wallet, you have no worries. If it's on the Gala platform, like in Gala, you got no worries. They're going to automatically swap it there. But if it's on a freaking exchange, I personally wouldn't leave it there anyways, regardless of an upgrade. But my advice would always be to move it to your own wallet, unless you're actively trading it. That's my only. I told everybody in my community. I said, look, if you haven't traded that coin in the last 3 days, it shouldn't be it shouldn't be in an exchange wallet. It should be back into your hot wallet. They're like, but Stash, the fees. And I go, that's why you don't trade on Ethereum, you fools. Come on, man, get with it. Yeah, so we go.
You're not wrong.
I know. I never am. Well, I think that answers a ton of questions here when it comes to this upgrade happening here. Very soon. We're talking about like next week, May 15th.
Next Monday,
right?
man. Next Monday.
That's it.
So if everyone could please kindly quit trading shit coins, that would be awesome. We'd appreciate that.
PSA, everyone, stop trading all the shit coins. Just put it down for just a day, so Gala could get some cheaper gas fees on this massive upgrade, because they're paying for it. Like he said earlier, they could have put the tab on you guys, but they're picking up this tab, and there's not going to be any transaction fees you're going to have to pay. I actually appreciate that.
Yeah, I wish more people did. More people are like, what? I have to have it in my own wallet. How dare you?
You're actually helping them, and they don't even know it. You're helping them, and they don't even know it.
They don't have any idea. They don't have any idea.
Well, this is definitely Path of the Barbarian stuff right here. I love it, man. Thank you so much for coming on the show here. Great pleasure, interrogation. Man. We are excited for this upgrade. I hope everything goes incredibly smoothly. That's what I want. That's really what I want. And getting on here and having some of these questions answered, I think does help to put some confidence back into into this ecosystem, into what we're doing. Now, all we got to do, this is great. So once we get this, the second thing we need to do is just make sure the benefactor can never ever post on social media ever again, and then we're golden. We're golden, because that's the number 2 reason I've heard of why people have left Gala recently is like, bro, after that post by benefactor, I cashed out everything out, and I was like,
but here's the thing.
Okay, I don't blame you, bud.
I'm not gonna dig in on that too much.
No, I don't want to.
What I will say is this: is that he's right. We're here to build an ecosystem. Now, I understand that other people aren't. Okay, I understand that other people are looking at this only from the perspective of like, how do I get them gains, right? Like, I understand that, but that's not what we're about.
No,
we're about building an ecosystem. Now, those two things are not mutually exclusive.
No.
Okay, but you have to understand that our main focus is building an amazing entertainment ecosystem.
As it should be. As it should be.
And we don't give a fuck about any of the rest of it.
Yeah.
Okay. We care about the community, and we care about the ecosystem and the games and the entertainment opportunities. We I don't know if you saw it. We just announced with Gala Film, Rosario Dawson is going to be in Ghosts of Ruin. That came out yesterday.
Yeah.
We're building amazing stuff, and that's what we care about. Yeah. Everything else is incidental and secondary to that.
True. So just 2 points real quick in there. He probably could have said that in a nicer way that was maybe not so like.
He could have. But that's not his style.
Yeah. Well, yeah, that's true.
It's not.
But
I've known the guy for years.
You gotta understand that will. I mean, outside of like the Moon Boys, now when we talk about high level investors, we're talking about I know you guys don't do, but those things may not look so good on them in the future either. But the funny thing is okay, I understand that, and I get that point, and I think that is the stance that you should be taking. But then it looks weird when, like a Champions Arena comes out and it's like, hey, the very first NFT sale for this, and it's almost 2K. I understand that it has lots of benefits, and there's passive rewards there, which are things you guys don't really necessarily support. But why not come up with something more affordable and approachable first, so we don't have that backlash?
So I get that, but specifically to Champions Arena, when I saw that, I was like, because I don't track all of our games, right? I'm not involved in the development of every single one of our games. I just can't be, right? So occasionally what I'll do is I will see things. Well, I mean, in fact, in that specific case, it was your tweet that I'm like, oh, that's apparently what's being charged for that thing. And then the question was like, what is that thing? Let me go look at it. Yeah. And so I was actually hanging out in our Discord, and I got a DM from Chewbacca, right, who I know you're familiar with.
Yeah.
And he's like, dude, this thing's actually pretty cool. I'm like, can you pitch it to me? Because I have not went and read all of the articles on it. So what's cool about it? And so basically he told me what it was, and I'm like, oh. And then I went and read the articles. It's not just an NFT.
No, I know.
Like it's a whole starter thing that enables you to get involved and bring other people into the game. Yeah. So you can like lend out your heroes and stuff, which is super cool. So it's an NFT subscription to it, which puts it perfectly in line with what's gone with Last Expedition, which people have absolutely loved. So on one hand, like, yeah, I get it. People don't like seeing a price tag of any sort. People would prefer that we give it away for free and then also pay the gas to give it to them. But at the same time, like there's a lot of value there. And I don't feel that like looking at it again and digging into it, I don't feel that that's an unfair price.
So I'll agree with you on a couple points here. A lot of value in it. It's not just one NFT; it's a bundle of things, right? So that's great.
And an NFT subscription too.
Right. And you're getting, you're going to keep getting things. And like I said, I like what Last Expedition was doing with that too. It just when that's the first offering, that's when it seems like a little like, man, this is the first. Like we could come up with something maybe a little bit ease us in and then give us the big fat bundle. But the thing about it is when you say, oh well, look, it gets all these good benefits, and a lot of the benefits are like reward type benefits and like ROI type benefits. Kind of is the way it's situated. But then saying, but that's not what we're about. But then hey, here's this great bundle that gives you all these rewards and this ROI in the long term.
It's not really an ROI thing. It's like a play pass. You're getting
if you're renting out, if you're like renting out champions so the people to get them to play and things like that, like
that's not, dude. You want to? That's not passive. You need to go talk to like Garrison and a few of the other people in that are doing this for spider tanks. Like they put work into it. It's a different meta essentially. You could look at it as like an entirely different meta, but it's not just a passive thing by any stretch of the imagination.
Yeah. Like, oh no, I know. I definitely know it's not passive. I didn't say anything about being passive. Just like Spider, it's an active daily thing you have to do.
Yeah.
You can't just sit there and be like, yeah, I'm just gonna sit back here and just gotta collect all this shit. That's what you get a note for.
Well, even that's not passive. It's just the node is doing the work for you, not necessarily
you got the VPS.
Although there's some interesting things coming there I can't really talk about right now, but there's some very interesting stuff coming in that direction.
Bitbender, thank you so much for being here on the channel with us, man. We really appreciate you guys answering all the questions here. My best to Gala. You were out, sir. Secret Agent Stash. Over and out.
See you around.
Secret Agent Stash. Secret Agent Stash.